made it seem as though she had complete control. But Parks responded. She steadied herself, found her serve, increased the pressure and eventually came back to win 0-6, 6-3, 6-2. For Eala, it became one of those painful matches that young players never completely forget. Not because there was shame in losing, there wasn't, but because Alex had already seen how close she could get to controlling a dangerous opponent before the momentum slipped away. Fast forward to Toronto, and everything feels different. Eala is not arriving as simply an exciting prospect anymore. She comes into the National Bank Open fresh from the biggest breakthrough of her professional career, her first WTA Tour-level singles title in Washington, where she came back from a set down against Jessica Pegula and produced a dominant deciding set. That victory made her the first player from the Philippines to capture a WTA Tour-level singles title and lifted her into a new level of attention. That changes expectations. Before, Alex could walk onto a court with the freedom of the underdog. Now opponents know her name. They have film. They understand the left-handed patterns. They know that if they allow her to settle into rallies, change direction, and attack second serves, she can make life extremely uncomfortable. And perhaps most importantly, they know Alex Eala is beginning to believe she belongs in these matches. That belief can be powerful, but it also creates pressure. The National Bank Open itself promoted Eala's Toronto debut as part of a packed house Wednesday night session. Tournament organizers highlighted the excitement surrounding Toronto's Filipino community and noted that Eala entered the match as the world number 20 following her Washington breakthrough. Think about how quickly the picture has changed. Not long ago, Filipino tennis supporters were celebrating every chance to see Alex compete against established WTA names. Now thousands are watching to see how far she can actually go. From Manila to Toronto, from Filipino families across North America to OFWs checking scores thousands of miles away, there is a growing feeling around Alex Eala that every tournament might contain another moment worth remembering. But Alycia Parks is exactly the kind of opponent who can punish anyone who becomes distracted by the bigger story. Parks brings serious serving power. She wants short points. She wants the first strike. When she lands her first serve and gets a comfortable ball after it, she can take the racket out of an opponent's hands very quickly. That means Eala cannot approach this matchup by simply trying to hit harder. That would be playing Parks' preferred game. Alex's advantage comes from variety, placement, movement, and making Parks play one more ball than she wants to play. Against a big server, the return does not always need to be spectacular. Sometimes the smartest return is simply deep and central, taking away the server's immediate angles and forcing the rally to begin. Once Eala gets into those exchanges, her left-handed forehand becomes extremely useful. A left-hander naturally creates different patterns across the court. Alex can drag a right-hand opponent wide, open space for the next shot and then change direction before the opponent has completely recovered. But timing matters. If she attacks too early, Parks has enough power to turn defense into offense instantly. If Alex waits too long and leaves a ball short, Parks can step inside the baseline and dictate. That is the tactical battle. Patience without becoming passive. Aggression without becoming reckless. And that balance may show us how much Eala has grown since Australia. The first meeting between these two demonstrated the danger perfectly. Eala produced an outstanding opening set, but tennis matches are rarely won because of 15 brilliant minutes or one brilliant set. The best players understand how to reset when an opponent changes tactics. That is one of the biggest questions surrounding Alex's development. Can she remain emotionally steady when the match changes? Can she lose 2 or 3 points without feeling that she needs to win the next one immediately? Can she accept that Parks will hit aces? Can she accept that some returns will disappear past her? Can she stay committed to her own patterns anyway? Those details separate a talented young player from a consistent contender. And right now, Alex is learning those lessons in front of the entire tennis world. Her Washington triumph matters because it showed something beyond shot making. After dropping the opening set against Pegula, she did not disappear. She stayed in the match, changed the direction of the contest and finished with extraordinary authority. That kind of experience can reshape a player's confidence. Suddenly, difficult situations do not feel impossible anymore. You have already survived them. You have already turned them around. You have already lifted the trophy afterward. And yet that Washington victory also creates another challenge: recovery. Professional tennis does not give champions much time to celebrate. One tournament ends, another begins. New city, new court, new balls, new opponent. New tactical problem. For Alex, the transition from the emotional high of Washington into a WTA 1000 event in Toronto could be one of the most revealing tests of all. Can she reset quickly enough? Can she treat Parks not as unfinished business, not as somebody she must emotionally get back at, but simply as the next opponent? That mindset is important. Redemption in tennis does not come from anger. It comes from improvement. If Alex handles Parks better this time, the most important story will not be that she answered an old defeat. It will be evidence that she learned from it. That is far more valuable. And Filipino supporters understand why this journey feels bigger than one result. Philippine sports has produced unforgettable champions in many disciplines, but elite international tennis has historically offered fewer moments when Filipino fans could turn on a major WTA tournament and see one of their own standing at the center of the story. Alex is changing that. The National Bank Open itself described her as one of the players who has made history for the Philippines, including becoming the first Filipina to break into the top 30 and reach the second week of a major. Her recent rise has turned tennis from something many Filipino fans followed internationally into something that suddenly feels personal. When Alex wins a rally, people in Quezon City react. When she faces breakpoint, Filipino families in Canada lean toward the screen. When she walks onto a big stadium court, young players back home see something that once seemed much farther away. Representation does not win tennis matches. Alex still has to serve. She still has to return. She still has to move her feet and make decisions under pressure. But representation changes what people believe is possible. Somewhere in the Philippines, there is probably a young girl holding a racket who no longer has to imagine what a Filipina competing deep inside the WTA tour would look like. She can watch Alex, and that may eventually become one of Eala's greatest contributions. Still, none of this means Parks should be underestimated. Quite the opposite. The Australian Open should have eliminated any temptation to do that. Parks has already demonstrated that she can recover from a terrible start against Eala. She has the serve to change momentum almost instantly, and when her aggressive ground strokes begin landing consistently, the pressure can become relentless. That means if Alex gets ahead, she cannot relax. If Parks begins finding her first serve, Alex cannot panic. If the crowd becomes loud, Eala has to use that energy without allowing it to speed up her decision-making. And the crowd itself has a role. Support Alex passionately. Celebrate the great points. Bring the Filipino flags. Bring the Pinoy pride. But give both players the respect that professional tennis deserves. The best support does not need to disrespect the opponent. In fact, there is something even more powerful about watching a Filipino crowd create an unforgettable atmosphere while also showing the world the class and sportsmanship that should surround the game. Because Alex Eala's rise is attracting new fans, and with that attention comes an opportunity to show what Filipino tennis culture can become. This match is only one chapter. Whether Alex eventually finishes this contest with a victory or Parks finds another response, the larger journey will continue. That is what makes this stage of Eala's career so exciting. She is no longer chasing one isolated breakthrough. She is trying to build consistency. One big win can create headlines. A tournament title can create belief. But becoming a serious WTA contender means returning week after week and proving that the level is sustainable. Toronto represents that next challenge. Can Alex carry confidence without carrying exhaustion? Can she use the memory of Australia without becoming trapped by it? Can she manage Parks' power with smarter positioning and deeper returns? Can she continue proving that the fearless Filipina who has already created so many historic moments is capable of turning a breakthrough season into something much larger? That is why this match feels bigger than the scoreboard. There is a past between these two players. There is pressure surrounding Alex. There is a packed stadium. There is a growing Filipino movement following every step. And there is a young player beginning to understand that she does not have to wait for permission to belong among the best. The tennis world has already noticed Alex Eala. The next phase is different. Now she has to deal with being noticed. Every opponent will prepare harder. Every weakness will be studied. Every big result will increase expectations. But champions are not defined only by the moment when everyone first discovers